Welcome, everyone. It is Sarah back with you today. I have been hard at work on my Outschool video series, and I've been wanting to make this video for a very, very long time, and I finally get the chance to do it today. Today is all about frequently asked questions from Outschool parents. I've been with Outschool for about a year, and I spend a lot of my workday obviously teaching, interacting with students, assessing work, coming up with new courses, but far and away, most of my workday is spent answering parent emails. Because for a lot of families, students, parents, whoever it may be, alternative ed, online learning is still really a new concept, something that not everyone has a lot of experience with. And maybe you see an ad out on the internet and you're really interested in taking a course, and then the whole thing seems a bit daunting. I am a homeschooling parent myself, and I know that sometimes when you go to look at all of the different options, it's just you shut down. That's what I do. I see it and I say, oh my goodness, too many choices. I don't even know where to begin. And so I thought that this might be a helpful place to start. It's certainly not going to answer all of your questions because a lot of even my answers are going to be ask the specific course teacher. A lot of things vary based from course to course, teacher to teacher. There are various policies, but this should at least give you a less overwhelming, condensed place to start. So first things first, what is Outschool? Like I said, if you saw an ad out on the internet or you came across it in some other way, you might not have any experience with Outschool, online learning, virtual education, whatever the case may be. So Outschool classes are held entirely online, very similar, in a similar manner to how I'm speaking to you right now. There is usually a live teacher teaching a small group of students. Your class sizes can range anywhere from 1 student to 10, 15, 20 students, depending on the course and the teacher and the availability. And students are able to participate in these courses from the comfort of their own home. You really don't need any kind of special equipment. You would probably be best served to have a headset or earbuds, although most of my students actually don't. It's probably about 50-50 students who are just using the computer or phone sound versus students who have headsets or earbuds. You need a stable internet connection. And that internet connection does not necessarily need to be from your own home. I have students who have taken courses in Starbucks, in public libraries. Some of them do them from their charter schools, in the computer lab. Really anywhere that you have a solid internet connection, or LTE. I've had students take classes via iPad and phone in the car, traveling. I've had someone on a cruise ship. So really, you just need an internet-capable device. That could be a phone, a tablet, a computer, a laptop, does not need to be a desktop. A stable connection, either via Wi-Fi, the wired internet, or cell phone service. And preferably, you should have some kind of camera. Many students are able to participate without being on camera if that is something they are not comfortable with or they don't have the capability. That is typically fine. This, and you'll hear me say this many times, I'm sure, this is something that you will want to check with the specific teacher of whatever course you're interested in, whether or not they need to have video in order to participate. most teachers are willing to work around whatever issue that may be, whether they're uncomfortable being on camera or you simply don't have that capability. Most teachers will work around that unless the course really requires some kind of video interaction. So the short answer to the question is Outschool happens anywhere and everywhere. Um, it's all based on teacher and course availability. So you may be able to take a class at 6 in the morning. You may be able to take a class at 10 p.m. You may be able to take a class in the middle of the day on a Saturday. It really is up to the teacher and the class and how they choose to run their schedules. So if you do see a course that you're interested in, make sure you go through and look at the available times. Many courses will offer, say, Tuesdays at 11 or Thursdays at 9. You can often go through and pick and choose what schedule works best for you. So that is the very easy beginning answer to what is Outschool. From a technology aspect, that is all that you should need in order to participate in most classes. There are some courses that will require outside websites or other interactive areas such as Google Classroom. I use Google Classroom quite a bit, or Google Docs. So make sure you check those course descriptions to be certain that you're comfortable with any outside technology interfaces that might be required from the teacher or the course. You will also want to make sure that you read the course description carefully. I'm going to go over this again in a few minutes here, but you want to make sure that you scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says materials. Often, I know I will put any supplies required for a course, I will put them in twice. I will put them in the materials section at the bottom, and I will put them in the main course description. However, you want to make sure that you check the entire course description to make sure that you have all required supplies ready to go before your first class begins. That is a very common question that I will receive from parents. It'll be the day of, an hour before class, and I get an email saying, I didn't receive a supply list, I didn't receive a materials list. That is all in that course description. You should be able to see all of the supplies required before you ever enroll. If you cannot see, it should say either the materials listed or it will say no materials are required for this course. If you cannot see that or there are questions, please make sure to reach out to the teacher before you enroll or well before class begins so that you have ample time to gather any required items for the class. Another very, very common question is, I have multiple students, can they enroll in the same course? This is almost always a resounding yes. I know many of us teach siblings in the same class or throughout different classes. I love having siblings. I've taught entire families throughout my time with Outschool. So I can't think, I usually say ask the teacher, but I cannot possibly think of a reason why two siblings could not be enrolled in the same course. Some things to consider. Number one, they both need to pay for the course. You're still taking a seat in that course. So if you have two students, you still need to pay for both students to be enrolled in that course. Many times students will share a device, whether that's a phone, a laptop, a tablet, a computer. Some students will be on the same camera. Some students will be in the same room but have separate devices and show up as two separate students. Both of those are typically fine. Again, you do want to check with any specific course or teacher to make sure that there is not an issue with that. But from a technology standpoint, the short answer is yes, students can share devices, laptops, and are able to work independently in terms of submitting work. That typically is not a problem. So, kind of my big umbrella question that I get from many, many, many parents is, how do I know how to select the right course? Okay, course selection. And this is a very tricky thing, because what works for myself and for my children may be a complete disaster for someone else's, and vice versa. So it really is. And again, I am a parent. My family is educationally eclectic. In between my 3 children, we have attended public, private, and homeschool. And I'm currently homeschooling one of my children. So I understand how overwhelming the choices can be. So here are kind of my top ways to know if a course is right for you, some things to look at, some things to consider. First and foremost, I always want to read, again, the course description very carefully. I mentioned this before, and I could probably say it 10 times. It's so, so important to read through the course description from the top to the bottom. I know after a while you're scrolling and it's like, okay, I get it, I get it. But that is really going to tell you all of the information that teacher wants you to know before you enroll in their class. It will give you a really good feel, usually, for what is expected. Some parents want there to be homework outside of meeting time work. Some parents hate for there to be homework and outside of meeting time work. So that is definitely something you want to look for. Are there writing assignments? How do they need to submit their writing assignments? Are there weeks worth of homework? Is everything done in class and is discussion based? So you know your student better than anyone. You know what they need. You want to make sure that you read through that course description as carefully as you possibly can. And again, make sure to stay all the way to the bottom. Sometimes that information at the bottom is very important, and it gets overlooked. That will tell you how much time is required outside of class. And if it's something like a book club, mine will say 1 to 2 hours outside of class. If your student is a speed reader, it's not going to be that much time, and it's not really homework, it's them reading. You want to make sure that you understand what the time commitment is. You also want to look at, again, that materials list. Is this something where they're going to be printing out a handout every week that they need to fill out? Are they going to need to bring something to class? What is their responsibility going to be? Because again, we can only do so much virtually as teachers. Parents are ultimately going to be responsible for what their student does or does not do outside of our class time. So for both your sanity as a parent and your student's comfort, make sure you read those course descriptions very, very carefully. And then after that, if you found a course that you think fits really well for your student, you want to look at the teacher's profile. This is going to give you a good feel for their reviews, how long they've been teaching. Up at the top, it will tell you how many courses they've taught, how many reviews they have. It'll also tell you when they joined. So if it's a relatively new teacher and they don't have many reviews, maybe understand that they're still getting started in the process, and roll the dice, take a chance on a new teacher. We all started somewhere. and needed to have a family take a chance on us. So I always like to read through the reviews. Many teachers, myself included, will have an intro video that kind of gives you a quick rundown of who they are, what they like to do, maybe their educational philosophy. And that'll give you a good feel for who is and is not a good fit for your student. Because again, we're all human beings. Not everyone clicks and meshes in the same way. And maybe you want a more firm and strict teacher, and this teacher is a little bit more laid back and casual. You want to make sure that you have a good fit for your family. And then you also want to read the reviews of the specific course. You can find the reviews in two different places. Back on that course description, you'll be able to see the reviews for just that class. And then you can see all of the reviews listed under the teacher profile for all of the classes that they've taught. So maybe you determine that a particular course isn't right for your student, but maybe that teacher has another course that you would be interested in. And there are also additional courses usually listed at the very bottom of the teacher profile as well. So if all else fails and you've read the reviews, you have watched the video, you've read the course description 2-3 times, and you're still not quite sure, ask the teacher. There is a little blue ask question button that you can click on, and it will send an email to that teacher and you can clarify. And certainly if you have any kind of exceptionalities with your student, any kind of specific learning need, please, we have seen it all, really, working as teachers. You're not going to surprise us. Just ask. My student needs XYZ. Are you comfortable with this? Or my student learns in this way. How can we work together? It's so important to ask those questions before class starts so that the teacher understands what the expectations are and the student is able to learn in the way that best suits them. It's really a partnership between the teacher and the parent and the student working together to make sure that those needs can be met. And if for some reason that particular course wouldn't be a good fit for your learner's needs, it's really best to know that before the class gets underway. So you want to make sure you have those questions asked and answered before class begins. So my final frequently asked question, and I get this all the time because I teach quite a few flexible schedule courses, is I don't know what time class is. It says it starts Monday. I don't know what time class is. I'm very confused. Usually, if you see, it will either say no live meeting, it will say flexible schedule, it will usually have a set of dates listed, like it will run Monday, January 1st until Friday, January 5th. Whatever the case may be, if there are no times listed, it is likely a flexible schedule course. Flex schedule just means that you are meeting in some way that is not live video one-on-one. You might use Google Classroom. You might submit assignments and receive assignments via the Outschool discussion board. I know for many of my courses, I will post video lectures and then we participate in discussion questions. Again, you want to read very carefully the course description and make sure you understand exactly what is and is not required of your student for a flex schedule course. And I will kind of add this little caveat. Some families adore flex schedule classes. Some families hate flex schedule classes. Again, it's one of those things where it might work fantastically for one learner and horribly for another. So if you are new to flex schedule classes, I would really kind of take some time and think through how the process goes, read through that course description, and then see if you feel that would be a good fit for your learner. Hopefully, I have answered the majority of your questions regarding getting started on Outschool as a parent, as a learner. Like I said, I understand from the family point of view, it can be a little bit overwhelming. When in doubt, always reach out to the teacher. We receive many, many emails a day, so please be patient with us. We do work through our emails as fast as we can, and I know I personally try to get back to each email, each person who reaches out within 24 to 48 business days. Again, take holidays and weekends into consideration. Many of us do set that time aside for family. But please be patient with us. We will always, always answer you. And we want your student to be successful in the same way that you do. And also, there are small blue buttons on many of the courses that will say request an additional time or request a time for a class that's not currently being held to be held. Please think of those buttons as a suggestion box. For the amount of emails we get, we probably get 3 times as many time requests, schedule requests, and we do look at those. It gives us a nice chart when we're making our schedules, when we're scheduling in our courses. We do look at those requests when we are making our schedules. However, it's nearly impossible for us to respond to each of them. So if you do submit a schedule request, think of it like a suggestion box. We will look at it. We do see it. We do get a notification that it came through, but we are not always able to make each request happen as much as we would love to. I would love to be able to meet every single class request that I got, but there are only so many hours in a day. So again, I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that I will see you all in my classroom very soon. Bye, everybody.